Hey, everyone. Welcome to the webinar. So glad you could make it. I am watching the number of attendees just climb really fast. Thanks for making this. We're really excited about this webinar. We're going to talk about the new AI call summaries feature. I just see a bunch of people popping on, and we definitely want this to be interactive. So just to start off, if you could just type in where you're sitting right now across the country or the world in some cases. Go ahead and type that in the chat and see. Oh, there we are, Matt from Utah. We got Shannon for Seattle. We got Hollywood, Hawaii. Great. In addition, what are you excited about to learn on this call? I mean, you could just type in what you see on the screen and say AI call summaries, or you could get a little more creative. What are you most excited about to learn today? So let's get started. My name's Andrew Dorn. I am Vice President of Event Sales at Follow Up Boss and also national speaker, and it's a pleasure to be here. I'm excited about this because it's only once in a while we get a new feature where so many realtors and team leaders have been this excited about it, and we're going to get into it here. I want to first introduce Greg Reinweld, Principal Product Manager at Zillow. Hey, Greg, tell us a little bit about yourself and what are you excited about for this call?
Hey all, thanks Andrew. Yeah, Greg Reinwald. I'm product manager at Zillow. Been here for about a year and a half. Before that, I was at Compass for about 2 years. So really love the kind of the real estate industry. My family, I come from a family of bakers, and so I really love the entrepreneurial spirit that I see in the real estate agent community. So really enjoy this. And for me, my favorite thing about being a product person is helping people's lives work better and kind of building things that people love, that, especially here where it's not just, oh, I make something easier to buy on Amazon or, a feature to keep you on Facebook longer, doing things that like actually help your livelihoods and help your business and grow your business, achieve your goals is such a more meaningful thing for me. So really excited about this feature and continuing to build great AI stuff for the community.
Yeah, what an exciting position you have to build next level, next AI level stuff. And I think everybody's looking forward to hearing a little bit about the future, if you can touch on that later. But thanks for being with us today. And then our friend, everybody knows Lee Adkins because he's on webinars all the time. He's a regular. Lee Adkins is the Chief Learning Officer at Amplified Solutions. You'll see him on office hours and many other webinars. Lee, are you excited about today or what? You look like it.
Absolutely. This is so awesome. I was telling you guys before we hit go, I really got to use this for the first time myself yesterday. I've seen a lot of other people use it, but I got to actually do some calls and then go back and check it out. It's really next level and super impressive. And yeah, I'm excited. In my background, we've been a partner with Follow Boss for a long, long time. I've been a user for 10 years, which is almost since the product was created. And yeah, just super excited to dive in today and share this with you guys. I'm going to run a quick poll so you guys can let us know your role in your organization. We want to make sure we give you guys relevant content for that. So if you guys could give us a quick, it's not mandatory, but just give us a quick, like, are you an agent? Are you a team owner? Are you a broker owner? It helps us make sure we're covering relevant stuff for you guys. But yeah, I'm really excited to dive in. I think, Andrew, I'll get back to share my screen and we'll maybe run down the agenda.
Yeah, let's run through the agenda and get going and show some examples and talk through this. We want to add as much value as possible. So as far as the agenda, we're going to definitely talk about what they are. Well, first of all, before anybody, one of your questions is this being recorded? Yes, it's being recorded, so you're good there. We typically always record just so you can rewatch and learn the things again that you want to really implement. So we're going to talk about what these AI call summaries are and take a look at some examples, how it can help your business, so how it can save you time, how you can share this with your team if you're a team leader and help them save time. So as a whole, really leverage this to be more efficient. And with the actual how to use it, we'll give some real examples there. We did some testing on this on top of actually using this. It's working for my Follow Up Boss very well. It's already having an effect on my day-to-day. And then Greg's here as well. He's going to talk a little bit about the future of AI for Follow Up Boss. And so we're all really looking forward to that, and we'll have time for a Q&A. So we're going to cover a lot in a short period of time, which is great. Everybody's going to leave with some takeaways here. And yeah, I'd say let's get into it, Lee.
Beautiful. Let's do it. So this is what the summary looks like inside your Follow Up Boss. Obviously, that's a screenshot. We're going to hop over here. I did some calls yesterday, like I mentioned, testing it out, trying some different things. We did a couple of different types. But so ultimately in your account, this is what this looks like. You place a phone call through Follow Up Boss. You have to have the dialer and call recording on for this to work. But I was really, like I said, just blown away. The summary was excellent. There's a full transcript as well. So it literally has the entire conversation that we had. And the bullet points just really, again, blew my mind. I mean, I said all these things on the call, but just the ability, Andrew and I were talking about this. I think a lot of us, we're running hard, right? We're taking a phone call in the car. We're saying, oh, I'll send you that.
Mm-hmm.
We're not always in a place to remember to send you that. And so having something like this, that's kind of an easy button to say, oh yeah, I said I was going to send them an invite, or I'm going to send them properties, or I'm going to introduce them to my mortgage person. Just really next level stuff. And I want to cover this right up front. Did you find this summary useful? Please be sure to give us input on these. It's really valuable for you guys to give us intel like, hey, this one was really good, or this was a little funky. It's very, very good. I'm sure Greg is thrilled when you give some feedback so they can continue to improve the system. But here's a couple of real life calls that we had yesterday.
Yeah, and I love how you pointed out a couple key things. You need to have the dialer, and you need to have these your calls recorded. That's how this engine works. The example of being on a phone call. Let's say you're driving safely, right? You're not looking at your screen, but you're driving safely down the road, and you're talking to a client, and maybe it's a 15-minute conversation, and during the start of it, you mentioned that you're going to share some community links of some things about the parks and schools and stuff around that particular home. And to have that as a suggested task, like you see on your screen, that because the AI actually said, hey, you were going to do that. Now I'm going to remind you. And so this just makes it very simple to have a follow-up of what to do next on each and every one of your calls. So that's one of the key things I like about it, Lee and Greg.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And again, we'll get a little deeper into this and the actual actions to take. But this summary was mind-blowing. I mean, it literally said, hey, you told them you were going to send them some properties. You said you were going to follow up in a week. You said you'd set up a system for them to get properties and save and favorite and collaborate with you. So that's all right here. So I want to cover this at a high level, at least, kind of the actions taken from here. At this time, Greg's going to get into some of the future, but at this time, it's a great way for you to come back after that call and say, oh, there was one where I said a calendar invite. I said, hey, I'm going to send you a calendar invite for us to meet up on Saturday for this buyer appointment. So you just pop into Follow Boss, create your appointment right here. As you guys know, that does create a calendar invite with them on it if you check the right box. So again, using this to set an appointment, set a task, add them to a Real Scout or whatever for their property drips. Just a really powerful way for you to go like, all right, I just told them I'd do all this. Now I got to actually do it. But using that to utilize your Follow-Up Boss to create that appointment or create a task or whatever those things are, that's where the rubber meets the road. That's where you make money. Having the call is lovely. Doing what you said you're going to do on the call, that's how you win.
Hey, I want to read something from Big Tent in the chat. He said, as a team leader, I don't have to I don't have to search the profile for calls, then listen to each call to know what was discussed. Huge time saver. So obviously he's already seen a lot of value there. It's exactly right. I mean, the automation of this is just phenomenal for you to be able to easily see again the summary and suggested tasks. So yeah, Lee, what are your thoughts on that? This is a team leader that's already seen value even before this webinar.
Yeah, I think, from like a coaching perspective, and look, I want to be real about this. Like we realize a lot of you are solo agents. We saw in the poll, there's a lot of solo agents on. Coaching doesn't mean somebody else looking at your call and telling you what to do. Simply even going back through and say, oh, I wish I would have asked this or done this, or I wish I would have closed with the question or closed with some follow-up things. I mean, there's so much to be done and learned from kind of analyzing. I know nobody wants to listen to themselves talk, so at least this way you get to just see it. But just super powerful to hone your skills and make sure you're having good phone calls and you're remembering to set an appointment and do what you said you're going to do. Just really powerful. And speaking of that, Andrew, let's hop in real quick. I think a lot of people know this, but obviously I'm in a record that we already created that's easy to find. But if you need to find calls, you can go to reporting calls. And if you're a solo agent or you'll see only your own. But if you are a team lead or an admin on a team or operations on a team, you can also flip to call logs, and it's going to show you every call in the system. You can sort it by agent, you can sort it by time frame. So this is a great way to find those calls, to be able to read them, follow up on them, do your tasks. So I wanted to cover some of that as well, because it's great, but you want to be able to find those calls to reference them and do, follow up on them later. And you can click on anything blue in Follow Up Boss to take you to that data. So whether it's a lead count or a call, this brought me right back to that lead.
Good point. Anything blue is a hyperlink, right? So it's going to be working to get to where you want to be. And I'm glad you showed that, Lee, because going back to that example of the agent driving and saying, I'll send some community info, right? So let's say there were 17 of those calls throughout the day. Lee just showed you where you see them all at one time, right? Want to go back there where you go to add
reporting calls.
Calls.
And then if you want to do it by person, you can do it here, but call log is going to show you just all the calls. And again, you can filter it slightly over here.
Yeah, that's a great way to see the entire day, or maybe, who knows, maybe it's 2 days, whatever you haven't checked. But that's a nice part of a workflow, Lee, of at the end of the day saying, okay, here's my calls. Have I done everything I'm supposed to do? So I can go to bed tonight knowing I've filled all my obligations, all my promises, all the things I said I was going to send. And you can do that just by hitting that button, seeing all the calls in one place.
Absolutely. That is true. And a few people asked about having it on or turning it on, or they don't have this. You don't need to do anything to turn it on, but you do need to have a Follow Boss dialer, and you do need to have recording enabled for it to pick up the call, for it to even process it. So if you don't have that on, or if you don't have the dialer, your best bet would be to email support. You can check up on that. At a high level, somebody asked in the Q&A about the cost of those. A dialer, I believe, is 29 or 39 per user.
39. Yep.
For an individual user. But once you get to a pro plan, which is kind of a package plan, it's always included.
Correct.
So there would not be an additional cost for you if you're pro and up for both these features and the call summaries.
Yeah. And while we're on that, and Greg, I can't wait to have you start to join the conversation too, but I just want to share one thing about the dialer is that not only if you have the dialer and you have the recording on, going to do this for you, give you the summaries and give you the tasks. But in addition, it in your inbox, it really changes things, doesn't it, Lee? Because now all of your phone calls, all your emails and texts are in one place. So not only will you have these features that are so awesome, but let's say you're talking to someone you haven't talked to in 4 months. If you have that dialer, it's all going to be there. Not just text or not just email, but your calls, recorded calls, these transcripts, everything in one place. So it's not just this as a reason, Lee. It's a bigger picture of having your historical conversations of all types, text, email, calls, everything in one place. So it's kind of a double whammy, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. So, so important to have all that history there. And also, if you're using dynamic smart lists, doing everything through follow boss makes everything work perfectly. So if you have a smart list 0 system and you are making the call through follow boss, they're going to come out of your list if that's how it's set up. Or if you text them or they text you or call you, they come out of that list. So super important to have, all that in the system. And we've got a couple of questions about some details of how do I know if I have this, or where do I turn it on, or can I turn it on for one user or multiple users? So at a high level, there's a few places to do this now. Some of it's changed. I'm going to show at a high level, if you are the account owner, or I believe an admin as well, you can go to power ups here. This is where it used to be. It's actually a few places now, but you're going to want to make sure that's on. And I do want to say this is very important. Call recording laws are state specific. There's kind of an interesting US layer over that, but we're not getting into that on this webinar. But especially if you are a broker responsible for your compliance, please research your state laws around call recording. There's also now a newer feature. So I'm going to get a little in the weeds here, but I think it's pretty important. There's another feature. I can never remember if it's under company or if it's under your settings.
Are you looking for the recording disclosure?
Yes.
It is right back on the power ups. So right next to the call recording.
Oh, perfect.
Right
Okay, great. So it's on the company settings page, but if you go back to power ups as well. Oh, here we go. Yeah, right there. It's in multiple places now. It's quite lovely. So yeah, and Sarah, great question. Again, it goes back to a state law, but that disclosure is for states where you don't have what's called a one-party law, which means one person knows it's being recorded, which is kind of a weird thing, but you can be that one person. Again, I'm not giving legal advice. Check with your attorneys, check with all your people. But I did want to mention that. So the call disclosure does do that for you. So if you're in a state where you need to have that on, you would want to have that on there. The one last bit on this, and this is a demo account, so if you see anything weird, roll with it. There is still an individual setting under admin teams for recording calls. So you have to turn it on globally at a high level, but then you can individually select whose calls are, like, for example, if you have a lender on here and their calls can't be recorded, you can take that off. If you have somebody else whose calls shouldn't be recorded or don't need to be for whatever reason, you can control that at a one-to-one level here under admin teams.
Oh, Lee, you just answered a lot of people's questions right there. Great job.
Right, good.
Hey, Lee, while you're looking at some more questions to chat, because we're definitely addressing those, I would like to ask Greg, based on just what he's heard so far. I mean, he's such a huge part of this. What are we missing, Greg, that is happening already right now, that's available right now? And then we can move into the future of AI with FUB on this and anything else you're willing to share. I think it would be great to hear your insights.
Yeah, so I think we nailed kind of most of what's there. I think for the most part, we launched, I view it, there's not a super complicated feature, right? It's just, hey, when we have the call recording, we can generate a transcript and a summary. That's great. A lot of what I see in the chat of future, and I'll talk a little bit more abstract, but I think some specific things that have come up in the chat of like, hey, it suggests a task. I want to add it directly to my task list. Okay, just like sort of adding a button to add it to your task list. That's something we're working on. Adding an appointment to your calendar, something we're working on. So these kind of like I would say like smaller improvements around the feature to make it even more useful. And a lot of this to me, and I think you were talking about the hey, calls, texts, emails all in one place. We're also starting to look through like, how do I help you consolidate a lot of that data where, hey, you have a client you've been working with for 3 years and you have, I was talking with an agent the other day and they were saying, hey, I have like 9,000 messages over the course of 3 or 4 years between me and the client about getting a property. We're looking at how we can also help summarize that, right? So it's not, okay, I have 9,000 individual summaries that I need to read through. How do I surface kind of the relevant bits there? But we'll talk a little bit more about like, I think where we want to go with just, this feature and I think AI in general. And really my goal with kind of adding AI here is there's always these like, bells and whistles type features that AI can do that I don't always know if they're like actually the most applicable. And so what we're trying to think about with AI is what do you use your CRM for? What are the core sort of like jobs to be done for a CRM? And we kind of boil it down to this like, who am I supposed to talk to? Smart lists are all about how do I organize all these leads in my database? I can have 100,000 plus leads in my database. Who are the right people to talk to now? The smart lists, I think, are starting to get there, right? And I think those are a great first step. But really using AI to surface who is the most valuable person to talk to right now. I go look at it. I have time to make one phone call. What is the phone call I want to make? I want to take that sort of decision. Like you don't even need to think about it. We're just going to surface. This is the most important person, really, that you need to talk to. Okay, you got through that first person. Who's the next person, really? So really think about how we can help with that prioritization. Um, and then getting into again, like thinking about what should you say when you get on a phone call? Especially, I think we have a lot of really experienced agents that hey, they don't need any coaching. They can put you on a phone call, completely blind to who they're talking to, and they can have a great conversation. But we also know we have lots of teams that are bringing in new agents, training agents, that they actually may struggle with this more. And we hear this story around, okay, I have an agent, they need to make all their phone calls. And what they do is they go to the contact detail page and they spend 20 minutes reading every single message, looking at all the different properties. And so at the end of the day, they made 5 phone calls instead of like 30 or 40. And so really thinking through how do we help, extract from all of that data, and this is what is great about Follow Boss. It integrates all of the data into one place. But now you are faced with just a mountain of data and what should you do with it? And so really thinking about how do we help extract the key insights from all of that data so I can give you, hey, you're about to make a call in 10 seconds, here's the 3 things you need to know about that lead. Here's some suggested like kind of actions you want to take with this. So it's really trying to help with that, what to say, and really kind of bring together all of this data, but simplifying it for a lot of our agents. And then the third task, and I think, for this is probably speaks to a lot of kind of the team leads' hearts and probably even the agents' hearts, is, hey, I know it sucks to take notes and it sucks to then enter those notes into your CRM. And so, these call summaries are the start of that. Hey, you don't need to take notes on a phone call. We do that for you. We put them in the system, but really think about how do we take those next steps there and say, okay, we talked about, this is the first time you're talking to a lead. We've noticed that you say we schedule an appointment. How do we automate the creation of that appointment so you don't have to do that manual task? And how do we change the status so it goes from new lead to appointment set to maybe showing homes or whatever like the right statuses you use? How do we capture that information and update the CRM automatically? Because if we're able to update the right data into Follow Boss, all of the automations are kicked off of that. Hey, a lead goes back into, hey, it's a cold lead, put them in a long-term nurture bucket. Okay, now that should automatically kick off your drip campaigns to that person. And so rather than you finish the call, having to go back and update the status to then kind of kick off that automation, how do we do that all for you? And it starts to really bring together, hey, there's a lot of great pieces of Follow Up Boss. How do they all actually work really, really well together? So that's a lot of our focus is how do we really help solve, I think, what are some of these core pain points and why Follow Up Boss is a great CRM. How do we continue that and just continue to make it the no-brainer choice for a real estate CRM that you want to use?
Yeah, that's so exciting. I mean, to be able to just picture that where you have your suggested task and now you just click a button and it auto-populates, or a calendar invite, for example. That is just going to be awesome. Such a huge time saver and make everybody really love this feature even more. And then I love Lee the idea of, yeah, there's 50 people in the smart list to call today, but if you were to call 6 of them, these are them, and here's our suggestions to make the most out of these calls. So you mentioned a lot of things. The 2 things I unpacked right away are those 2. I know that the audience is excited about it.
Yeah, it's really great stuff. I mean, and again, I want to just say, this is newly released. One of the things I've always loved about Follow Boss, and it's made me an ongoing fan, is the continued improvement in new releases, and also dropping stuff like it's no big deal. Like, here's some AI call summaries, by the way. So yes, this feature will continue to improve. Yes, it will continue to add other languages, other features, video stuff. Love where you guys are at. By the way, I don't want to get too crazy on this, but I'm going to go ahead and share it. In your Follow-Up Boss desktop or app, I think as well, but on desktop, if you hit the question mark down here, you've got some options. Number one, product updates is going to show you when these things come. But you can add to the roadmap. I think it's here again. You guys keep moving stuff on me. You can add to the roadmap, which is what the product team actually looks at. So if you're making suggestions, throwing them on Facebook's lovely. Putting them in the chat in a webinar is great. But if you put them into the actual roadmap, that's what the engineering and design team look at when they're developing new features. So thrilled that you guys are throwing us great ideas. Make sure they get into the roadmap so they get to the team that actually builds them. But brilliant, brilliant ideas by you guys. We love it.
And I just want to plus one that part is actually one of a projects I have a coworker working on right now is how do I look through all of the product support input kind of like questions that come up and how do we surface some of those kind of key product ideas? Because I know from Follow-Up Boss's start, listening to our customers, really kind of taking their feedback to improve the product is at the heart of what we do. And it speaks to me really strongly of, hey, customer feedback, customer requests, that is the source of the best ideas. I'm not an agent. As much as I try and learn and empathize, I'm never going to be an agent. So I think your ideas are always the best. And so keep throwing them at us. We love it. And it really helps, it really helps us improve and make sure we're delivering the right features that you need.
Awesome. I want to just thank Greg for all that insight. That was super exciting to hear. Also I'm very excited, and we can look at questions after this, but I'm very excited to share, for those who don't know about it, our TeamOS podcast, Lee.
Yes, absolutely.
So there's nothing like this, period, where you can literally join these podcasts or watch recordings. And by the way, huge props to our chief evangelist of Follow-Up Boss, Ethan Butte, for heading this up and just doing a phenomenal job. I think he's over 100 podcasts now with team leaders, industry experts, industry leaders, you name it. He has so many different podcasts, including like people like Tom Ferry and Gary Ashton and top industry leaders and it's really all about, if you look at TeamOS, Lee, it's about starting a team. It's about growing that team and really getting the efficiencies optimized. So you are doing everything you can to make your team run like a machine, just a real dialed in, operationally fit team. And that's what this is all about. And so there's really nothing like that out there. And Lee, you're actually going to the site right now.
Yeah, there's so much good stuff here. I mean, I absolutely love this. You can take it wherever you take podcasts. It's in video version, or you can do audio only if you're, Apple or Spotify or wherever. It's on all the platforms. Also, by the way, I just recorded episodes. If you want to check it out in September, we'll have one getting into some nerdy tech details. We got Tech Timber coming up with Ethan. But yeah, great stuff here. And again, a little more operational, right? Like the Follow-Up Boss stuff is great. We've got office hours, we got bosses in action. We have all of these, all of these things. But this is a little more of the strategic real estate operational side of things. So it really kind of closes the loop on platform, people, all the things, because said and done, we need all of these things to run a good business. I was so happy when this was announced and Ethan and Steve came over, and just great stuff. But there is a lifetime of brilliant team and company and solo agent operators giving you all their secrets right here. So
yeah,
highly recommend it.
I agree, Lee. And Ethan has a lot of gifts, but one of his great gifts is bringing out the nuggets, bringing out what's working, and being able to share that in this podcast format. And at the end of the day, it's all about having your team become more profitable. And if you look at these podcasts, everything they're talking about is basically, again, the operations, the tactics, the strategies, accountability, all the things that are needed to make a team more profitable. And so we're really happy that we have this launched and it's such a success. And yeah, huge shout out to Ethan and the team for putting this together and adding so much value to the industry. And I should say that there actually is no cost. I mean, you can go right now to realestateteamos.com. There's no cost to subscribe and start to watch these podcasts and really take a lot from it and add that to your team. Or even if you're a solo agent, there's so much in here, Lee, that would help even someone who's not a team leader or on a team.
Absolutely.
A lot of this goes across the board for anybody in real estate.
Yeah, there's a ton of like mindset stuff. There's some sales stuff. I was talking to Andrew about this, and we wanted to maybe get into some sales tactic stuff. I think it's wise that we didn't, but just things like ending your call with a next step or with a question or things like that, just using those things in good practice. And again, these transcripts can help you with that. You can go back and kind of, it's not the best word for it, but kind of post-mortem on your call and be like, oh, I wish I would have said that. Or, next time, maybe I should end every call with, great, I'm going to follow up with you in 2 weeks or whatever that is. But learning from yourself, as well as others is just, it's really powerful. Great
And
stuff.
I love that point too, Lee. And that's actually, trying not to tease too much. But one of the things I do want to tease is that specific point of like, hey, did you identify, was there a next step discussed on the call? That's one of the first things we're trying to pull out of this and say, hey, we can capture and very surface it to you what that next step was. And so that we want to be able to surface it, not just to you when it happens so you can do it, but when it doesn't happen, as that sort of coaching opportunity. And especially for kind of our teams, and as we're thinking about this, being able to see, hey, my agents, I want to train them to hit these next steps. Is that actually working? And you can start to really easily see, without having to listen to all the calls, without having to read all the summaries, did they get to a next step? Because we know, hey, every call should end with what's going to happen next. So we know that's such a great, sort of that best practice. And so how do we help accentuate that in the tool and the product?
Yeah, that's great how AI is going to support that very important thing, which is having some sort of next step after any sort of conversation, no matter if it's text, call, email, whatever it is. So that's cool. That's cool. You're thinking about those things, and we are thinking about those things, how to truly automate that and leverage AI to the best we can.
Very cool. It's great stuff. If you haven't used this yet, I highly encourage you, do what I did. Do a fake call with a friend. You don't have to pretend like it's a real estate sales call. But again, I was just blown away when I actually used it. I had seen a bunch of other people's, but when I did it myself, I was like, wow, this really picked up all the things and certainly all the important bits. And they were all 6-minute long phone calls that can be summarized in bullets. Just fantastic, really fantastic. So a lot of questions too about the recording. This is always, all webinars are always recorded. They'll go out to everybody registered. I also just dropped a link to the YouTube channel. If you subscribe to the YouTube channel and turn on alerts, you'll get a quick alert in YouTube every time there's a new video. Bosses in action, office hours, webinars, quick tip videos. I have on alerts for mine, and I pretty much know when they come out. But I would definitely recommend checking the YouTube channel as well for more practical things, but also to find this recording. Obviously, we didn't say it, but there's a QR code on the screen to connect you directly to Real Estate Team OS. So that'd be good. I'm gonna drop a link to this website as well, just to keep it easy for you guys.
Yeah, we're giving them multiple ways. You got the QR code. Now you got the link right in the webinar chat to everyone. So everybody should be able to sign up for Team OS. That's a no-brainer. Again, there is no cost for this, and there's nothing like this in the industry, especially when you think about Lee and Greg, the amount of high quality guests that are on this. I mean, we mentioned a few, like I know Tristan Ahumada, who runs Lab Code Agents, is on there. Many others. Just take a look at the list of different podcasts and who we're bringing to the table. It's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm totally with that. So, beautiful. Well, I think, we could you guys have had amazing questions. They're great. We've done our best to answer all of them. If we missed something, drop us a note in the Facebook group. We'll make sure to get you an answer. But really appreciate the interest and excitement around this. You guys digging in and just trying it. Again, it's already on in your account. If you have call recording on, it's already there. If you don't have call recording on, we covered that. We'll send the recording out as well. If you have questions, you can always also hit up Follow Up Boss support at Follow Up Boss. There's an 855 number. It's on followupboss.com. I don't have it in my brain, but it's not hard to find. But yeah, absolutely love it. And Greg, great job on this. Like I said, I was just even more blown away yesterday when I did it myself. I was like, oh yeah, this is a game changer.
Yeah,
Well,
exciting things to come for everybody. Now everybody who's on here knows that, so we're all pumped. Thanks everybody, and keep looking for webinars that are coming your way. We're trying to do as many high quality value add webinars as we can, so you again can just really learn as much as you can, implement that with your business, and we'll keep doing it, Lee and Greg.
Absolutely.
Another one soon.
Let's do it. We'll give you guys an update soon. Everybody have a great day.
Yeah.